Channel 5 Network. This is Open Line.
Well, good evening and welcome into Open Line. I'm Chuck Long. Glad to be with you for the next hour. Tonight is Ask an Expert. We are talking to the expert himself, the attorney. We're, of course, talking to Kevin Kennedy. I love it when Kevin's here. So many of you watch Kevin on a regular basis, and if you have those legal questions, I was just looking through before we start talking to Kevin. Here's some of the questions that have come up in the last month. Criminal law, personal injury, injured in a car wreck, injured on the job, family law, bankruptcy, estates, wills, nursing home care, lost job, going up against the insurance company or hospital. So many different topics that I know a lot of you have, and that's why we're in the hands of the expert. Kevin Kennedy, great to see you tonight.
Good to be with you as always, Chuck. It's a delight. I love being with you. And when you go through that list, it is reality. We are talking about everybody's life, and if you haven't had that come through there, you live long enough, you or your family member, your co-worker, your children will have to face that.
Absolutely.
And so knowledge is power. So one of the best investments in life is knowledge. It'll pay the biggest dividends. So learn all you can when you can. And somewhere, if you don't learn, you will burn.
There you go. And I love you're saying knowledge is power, because it
is
really
so true.
It makes a big difference. You guys have 3 offices. I know you're one of the top firms in the state. You've been around for 34 years.
That dates me when I hear that, but remember this, Chuck, your experience will protect you. So in life, everyone learns through our experiences of how we deal with this person. It will protect you, and that's why when people want to take advantage of you, they will take advantage of your inexperience and your lack of knowledge. That's a weakness. So hammer the weakness, stay away from their strengths.
There you go.
In the real world, you've got to protect your own interest, and you've got to try to protect your children till they get up big enough and mature enough to help protect the family.
Yes, you do. And you know, and I know one of the things, and I've talked to a number of our folks out there, our viewers that watch you on a regular basis, and it's always interesting to me because sometimes I'll run into them and they'll say, you know what, we wait for Kevin to come on because we've got those questions and we're waiting for that advice. And the thing that's so nice is then you help everybody else that's got that same question.
It's great. You know, I went through the Nashville flea market. That's where I spent some time when they had that. And I have friends there, and they had us taped. They had you and I taped, and they were saying, Kevin, come over here. We want you to see this. This is our favorite TV show. I said, really? They said, seriously? I said, well, y'all enjoy the moment and learn something while we're here.
That's it. Well, we've got people that love to call, love to also, I've noticed, they might have a question for a family member or a friend. They've been visiting. They know that there's problems. They know that there's questions. This is the way that you can get those questions answered. Comments, questions. The number's right there on your screen. 737-7587 is the number to call if you do have a question or a comment. Kennedy Law Firm, you guys, you know how to advise people. You know how to help people. And you have the experts in place to do that. And that's the other thing that's important.
Life is full of drama. Life is full of distress, whether you've got it at work or you get it on the way home, or you're at the grocery store and there's a confrontation. You didn't really ask for this, but it's thrust upon you. And you know, we were talking a little earlier through the break, it's some of the most successful men, and we'll throw them there, women,
absolutely,
keep cool in those circumstances. When you're under fire, think clear. Don't get so excited. And I think that's a good word for us to ponder a little bit tonight. Those words of wisdom will carry us. Even we don't know the answer, we know that attitude will lead us down that path.
Yes, it will. All right, our lines are getting busy. And by the way, if you do have that question or comment, we do encourage you to get on the line as quickly as possible so that we can get to as many of those questions and those calls as we can. We're going to start tonight with Brenda. Brenda, we're glad that you called in on this dark and stormy night. So do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Yes, I do.
Well, go right ahead.
A friend of mine is writing a book, and I wanted to assist him with some memorabilia that I have.
All right.
And one of these things is a Grand Ole Opry program from the 1970s.
All right.
And my question is, now, if I were to go to the Opry and say, now, do I have permission to do this? First of all, the current owners didn't own the Opry back in the 70s.
Yes.
So I think it's the kind of thing that if you ask for permission, they may want some money, but it's the kind of thing, if you don't ask permission and you're willing to take the legal consequences, it's not even worth their time to go to court.
Yeah, you have identified that perfectly. You know, now we live in a brand new age. What we were confronted with in the publishing business 20 years ago is different than today. You know, when you put it out there and it goes on, there's so many triggers that I even see it in my work, television and publishing. So it will come up, they'll catch you and say, hey, you didn't pay the royalties on this television broadcast, and it's now on YouTube, and every time it rolls, you're going to be sent a bill. Wow. So you have identified it exactly. So that's a calculated risk. Do we put this on there and no one says anything about it, or do we run it down and try to get with one of the companies and pay a copyright fee to try to have that published? Well said. Talk to the lawyers about it and then evaluate the calculated risk.
And there you go. Once again, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. And so many people say, well, I never thought about that. Well, you say, wow, now YouTube is suing you, BMI, everybody. And you say, golly, I never saw that coming. So talk.
There you go. Brenda, we appreciate the call.
Thank
You started
you
in the
so
evening
much.
for
It's
us.
good.
We're going right back to the lines right now. So Elaine is on the line with us. Elaine, we're glad that you called in this evening. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin Kennedy?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, go ahead.
I have borrowed money from Advanced Financial,
Okay.
and I paid $210 this month, and they said they charged me $106 every day.
Whoa.
Now, what I want to know is, she told me the payoff would be $199.45 as of 11/3. So, well, I want to know, if I pay that off, will it be the end of it?
Okay. Well, again, we have to deal with honorable business people. It sounds to me like there's an issue about usury law violations. You know, there's a certain amount of interest that people can charge legally, and if no one raises it, well, then you're going to keep paying and paying. A good understanding keeps down a misunderstanding. If I found myself in that, I'd like to know who said it. I'd like to go in and pay in person. I'd like for them to stamp my receipt paid in full. I'd like to have that documentation, and then that gives me a fighting chance. 5 years from now, they could sell it to another company, and the other company comes back and says, no, you still owe us this much interest. So what's happened to you is literally happening to people all over Tennessee. And so the best advice that we can give is to try to get the documentation paid in full, have that, and see if you can get away, and keep your receipts. How long do you keep them? That's a good question. You should keep them at least 6 years. Statute of limitations would be 6 years in Tennessee on a contract.
All right, so Elaine, I hope that helped. It's certainly great advice and good information to have, so we appreciate you calling in this evening. We're going right back to the lines. Once again, the lines do get busy. If you have a question or a comment, the number's on your screen, 737-7587. So we're going back to the lines right now. Dorothy's on the line with us. Dorothy, good evening. And do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Yes, I do. It's
right.
good to have y'all on.
Thank you. Good to hear from you.
I have a problem. My son is been put on oxygen
Yes.
at home and a backpack, and I'm having trouble getting my money out of the insurance because they approved it, then they said it's denied.
Yes.
And they just send me some foreign papers that I can't read, and they tell me I can't get my money back. I put it on 2 credit cards, and it draws interest.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I need some help with it, and I just wonder what y'all think about it, because he's 49 and disabled.
We are so sorry to hear about that circumstance, and thank you for being there to help those. You know, I salute everyone who helps people with disabilities. Some people can't help themselves, and they need help, so I thank you, I applaud you. And we also have the insurance commissioner, and they can take action on this. We have unscrupulous insurance companies who will say we're going to do something, and then they don't do it. And they say, you've heard that old saying, the check's in the mail, really? And we go 1 day, and 2 days, and 3 days. you can file a complaint with the Tennessee Commissioner on Insurance, lay that out, and let them investigate. And if worse comes to worse, you know, they can usually put some pressure on them. They don't want their license revoked. They don't want a bunch of bad reviews from the Better Business Bureau because it will affect their credit rating and their future business prospects. So that's what I would do. It's been said on this show many times, the squeaky door gets the oil. And Benjamin Franklin's the guy that said energy and persistence conquers all things. He didn't say it was all about the brain. He said be persistent.
And that was what we were talking about before we went on the air. And
Yes.
I told you, my dad said he lives by that, persistence,
Yes.
and that's what he instilled to the kids, and still good today.
It's great today.
Absolutely. So, Dorothy, we appreciate the call this evening, and I think we have time before break for one more call. We're going to Lexi right now. Lexi, we're glad that you are with us this evening. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
I have a question. First, I just wanted to say, Mr. Kennedy, it is an absolute pleasure to be able to speak to you tonight.
You're very sweet and kind. Thank you for that.
So I had a friend who actually, she was in a car accident. It was like a 3-car pileup a couple months ago, and she hired you, and she was really happy with her results. Well, I was in a fender bender a couple months ago, it was about 7 months ago, where somebody rear-ended me, and I was just wondering, what is the statute of limitations on a car accident? Is that something that I could possibly still pursue?
Yes, in the state of Tennessee with personal injuries, it's a 1-year statute of limitations from the date of the accident. Now, see, I hear this quite often, and thank you for the comments and thank you for the question. Here's the point for the night. You know, insurance companies can say, okay, Chuck, well, you go ahead and get treated, send me your medical bills, and they're leading you down this. Don't worry about a thing, Chuck. We're going to take care of it. Well, guess what? They've relied on that. They're nice people. And then it goes past the 1 year. And you say, well, okay, here's my bills. What kind of settlement are you going to give me? Do you know what the insurance company is going to say then? Too sorry, too sad, too late, it's over, you didn't file a claim, you didn't have a lawyer. You say, well, that's not right. You didn't do me right. Well, they have those laws in there for a reason, so you must understand you've got to file that claim within 1 year or you're forever barred. Now, realistically, don't wait up to the last minute. Come to the lawyer, give him a little time of preparation, and he can make your claim. And one of the best ways to get a settlement is to have a lawyer. And you say, well, I can handle this on my own. I'm pretty smart. I've heard that in the courts. I've seen people get up and they represent themselves. And at the law school, they said a guy who had represented himself, the lawyer who even represented him, had a fool for a client and a fool for a lawyer. So if I were in trouble, I'm going to hire a lawyer. Chuck, if you're in trouble,
I'm going to hire a lawyer.
I'm going to tell you to hire a lawyer. Thank you so much for the call. That helped a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. Lexi, we appreciate that so much. We do have a lot of you on the line with us, but we do need to take a break. But when we come back, more with Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm. Right after this, you're watching Open Line.